Hello everyone, and welcome here to Michigan. It is the penultimate round before we see the final four drivers fighting for a championship at Homestead next week. Here we are for the Michigan Stole My Sign 200, I should say. Michigan Stole My Sign 200 here at, Michigan International Speedway. Like I just alluded to, this is the penultimate round before we see the main event next week where four drivers will fight for a championship. We'll go over all that and more before we see the drivers take the green flag in just over 10 minutes' time. So right now you can see Brent Roberts right now attempting a qualifying run right now. He is currently sitting P1 in the silver bracket standings after he won last week at Talladega. Obviously, maybe was hoping for a little bit better success at Daytona many moons ago. Maybe could have got him into the playoffs. But I don't think he's complaining right now with the win last week and right now trying to lock that up, at least for pride purposes. 4 minutes ago in qualifying, first lap was done for Brent Roberts. P15 for him. And we will see what his second lap does. Right now, obviously, you can see on the left side of your screen the drivers that currently need to put down a good lap. If they are in green, they're in the playoffs right now, the top 8, and they need to put down a good lap if they want to put themselves in a good spot for qualifying. One driver joined just a little bit late. Brandon Proudfoot looked poised at the moment. I don't think he was going to join, but he makes it with 3 minutes and some change to go. So Proudfoot will take it. So all 8 playoff drivers will be attending tonight's festivities. Brent Roberts just finished his second lap right there. Not going to go any higher. P15. So we'll now cut to Alfred George here as he leaves his pit box, and we'll watch his lap right now. So while he attempts the warm-up lap here, we'll first show off the silver bracket here real fast that he is participating in, like I was talking about it. You'll see right now, Brent Roberts currently leads that by 57 points, and ahead of Austin Mongol, and 60 points ahead of Ryan Pinnell. And it's worth noting, and 61 again of Ross Baxter, and it's worth noting the max amount of points you can get in a race weekend is 60 points. So if Brent Roberts can get clear of 60 points, bearing obviously any penalties he could get for infractions or anything, he would lock up that silver bracket with one race to spare. We'll take a look at the playoff bracket in a second as well. First, I want to see Alfred George's qualifying run here, as it would be a disservice to allow him the ability not to take a lap and let his 2 laps show. He'll have to beat a 38.60 and try to beat Zach Millett, who has been the cream of the crop of the playoffs so far. He's won the first 3 rounds of 5, but has had a little bit of a skid here the past 2 weeks. Still great finishes, but has yet to find victory lane back-to-back weeks, and he's looking to try to keep that momentum going. No drivers are locked in coming into the night as well in the playoff standings. Last week's winner being Brent Roberts and the rounds being only 2 rounds wrong. No driver is officially locked in, so everyone still has a chance to get bumped out tonight. And as we see George finish up his first run here, we'll see what he can do on lap number 2. We will take a look at that bracket in a second. I just want to let the qualifying run finish out here and let all drivers attempt their laps, including Proudfoot, which could have major implications on said playoff bracket. So as George comes around the back, just finished his second lap, we're keeping an eye on Adams, and we're keeping an eye on Proudfoot. Proudfoot's still in his box right now with 1:37 to go, though he is not probably poised to put down a lap here, as the laps around here are well over 40 seconds long, so he probably will not be able to take an attempt here. So across the line, the Alfred George machine will go. It will be good enough for P13 for his troubles. We'll now jump to Jonathan Adams right now in the number 8 Cyberpunk machine. He's got a bunch of poles this season, still looking to maybe end the season on a high here and find a way into victory lane. So he will finish his first of 2 laps. Should be the last driver to put down a competitive time. Across the line, it will be P20 for him. So we'll see what lap 2 is in the books for the Cyberpunk machine. Handful driver will not attempt qualifying runs here. Josh Battles, Tommy Withers, Tristan Catania, and Brandon Proudfoot will all not take laps here. One more thing to note as well, as you can see on the timing and scoring board, Brandon Featherplace had a purple sector too, but he had a very slow first sector, so Featherplace right now sitting P14, maybe has some more speed in that 34 than it lets on. Michelle was also top of the charts during practice, so both cars a little bit further back. Keep an eye on them to move forward. As we see Adams comes across the line, it's going to be good enough for P5 for the B-Tron car, and it'll be the highest of the non-playoff drivers, as you see him slotted out right now. So as Adams comes to stop on the track here, we are pretty much done with qualifying. It is going to be Zach Millett our pole sitter with Gaiman, Hagen, and Zier, all playoff drivers occupying the first 2 rows. So we will see you in just a few minutes for warm-up, where we'll go over the bracket and everything else in just a little bit. So qualifying included, now on to warm-up. So, speaking of, I was talking about that playoff bracket here, and we will take a look at that now for the viewing audience at home. So you can see right here, that's the silver bracket. There's the playoff round of 8 bracket here. And you can see right now, as it is shaking up at the moment, John Hagen is currently the first driver in, up 17 points coming into tonight. Then it's Zach Millett, 8 points above the line, and then it's a dead tie for the third and fourth spots with Zier and Feather Place. Then you got Pelletier Sharp, 4 points back, Brandon Proudfoot, 7 points back, Josh Gaiman, 13 points back, and Daniel Michelle, 15 points back. So that, at the moment, is how this is shaking up to be. So you can see as well as we watch the time continue on here, this is where we're going to kind of go over some narratives here. 10 points max stage points with a 25-car field. Things can shake up, but no driver can lock their way in. In turn, there are abstraction points and penalty points that drivers rack them up could face infractions like voice control violations or incident points. Everything else could affect these drivers as well. Another thing to note as well, if you're Michelle and Gaiman, I wouldn't say you're in a must-win spot per se, but you got to really be thinking win tonight or hoping some bad luck happens to some of the cars you're trying to chase down. And don't worry, we will keep the viewer at home updated. I have a running tally going on here, and we will update you after every stage to show you where roughly all the drivers are as they stand. But take a look at this, because after tonight, 4 of these drivers you see on this list here will be competing for a championship next week at Homestead. One more thing we'll take a look at as well with 3 minutes to go as well. We haven't updated this throughout the year, but we'll take a look as well. The Rookie of the Year. I didn't actually update the Rookie of the Year standings. So regardless, John Hagen is running away with that. He's already locked up the Rookie of the Year. So the driver of the number 81, John Hagen, who I was going to cut to, but is not on track. So we'll cut the other driver second in the Rookie of the Year standings. Lilac Sear right now, second or third. Right now she drives on track. So John Hagen is the Rookie of the Year. He will have that regardless. But the question mark of the day is, can he be a driver that does the ultimate rookie and championship in the same season? Right now at the moment, as we've got cars going around here, Michigan's a unique track. It's a draft track, and a lot of drivers coming in tonight in the playoffs, this is the round they had a little bit worried about. Talladega obviously is a track that can be very convoluted and concerning, especially with how wrecks can fall out of thin air. Meanwhile, this track being a lot more drafty and running your line, and also a bit of fuel concerns as well, depending how the stages break out. This can go from bad to worse for a driver if their strategy does not play out. With 2 minutes to go here, we'll take a look at all the playoff drivers out on the track right now so you can notify who they are at the point. Is trying to see something here as my ticker didn't turn over. Looks like we had an SDK crash, possibly, as I am not getting any control right now. So let me reload this. Just give me 2 seconds here before we get ready for main race. So just give me 2 seconds. Oh, SDK, gotta love it. All right, so we're going to take a second here. We're going to reset SDK here. So just give me 2 seconds here. Okay, we got the name back on the screen here. Oh, there it goes again. Ooh, no ticker. Right now at the moment, we still got about 50 seconds to go there, as you can see through the behind the wall there. I'm still trying to get SDK to work here, so just give me 2 seconds here. All right, we got the tower just in time here, so we were going to do a look at the drivers, but we will skip that for right now as we have warm-up officially concluded. Daniel Michel will be the fastest on the board here as we are now going to move on to the main festivities tonight. Alrighty, so we are moving on to the main race. You'll see it's 100 laps await these drivers. But first things first, we're going to take a look at the starting grid and see where all drivers fire off tonight. Jack Millett and Josh Gaiman will make up row number 1. Obviously, Millett right now 8 above the line. Gaiman needing a lot of stage points or win. They'll be in row 1. John Hagan and Lilac Sear in row 2. Hagan and Mizier both have good seasons so far. Both trying to make it improve. The rookies have outclassed the vets here. 3 rookies in the top 4. They'll be in row 2. Jonathan Adams and Austin Mongol will be in row 3. At Mongol trying to save his silver bracket season. They'll be in row number 3. Tom Sears and Lily Peltier Sharp in row 4. The Lurker and Sharp has shown a clutch gene, won a crucial race at Bristol to get to the final 8. They'll be in row 4. Dale Markowski and Ross Baxter will be in row number 5. Michael Lawrence and Kevin Feemster will make up row number 6. Moving on to row 7, Stefan Oberstadt and Alfred George in the next row. Brandon Featherplace and Mark DeLayla will be in row number 8. Featherplace, good qualifying run in the second sector, but first sector left some new desire. Keep an eye for that 34 to move up through the field. Brent Roberts, James Kerr will be in the next row. Roberts, if he can get a good finish tonight, will lock up the silver championship. So we'll see if he can keep that going. Next up, Michelle and Wright. They'll be in the next row. Michelle, obviously, in another drive that needs a lot of stage points or a win. They'll be in row number 10. Brandon Proudfoot, Tommy Withers will be in row number 11. Proudfoot did not take part in qualifying. He's going to have to move quickly if he wants to make up that deficit. And we're going to finish up the order here with Bash Battles and Tristan Catania rounding out the field here in row number 12. So a lot to play for here. A lot of drivers getting those last jitters out. Josh Gaiman, for instance, made the Final 4 last year. Looking to try to go to back-to-back years. He, along with Featherplace, both made the Final 4 last year, which was at Phoenix. This year it's at Homestead. So both drivers trying to go do what not a lot of drivers can say they do and go back-to-back years. Meanwhile, we have 4 rookies in the field that are in this Final 8. It could be still a chance to have an all-rookie lockout in those rounds. So we'll take a quick look here as well as we get one more lap of pacing here as the cars will go one more lap. We'll take a quick look just so you can see the cars and how they will slot on to keep an eye on the playoff drivers. So you can see Zach Millett right there in the number 31, Josh Gaiman in the number 61. Then you got John Hagan in the normal colors they usually run. John Hagan running an F Cancer scheme there in the pink and black machine, flanked by Lilac Sear in the purple and white number 89. Again, playoff drivers have a green banner to signify they are in the playoffs. Peltier Sharp in the number light blue and pink 18 machine for Gear Cats. Gear Cats, a new team this season. One of two Gear Cats cars. Say that sentence 3 times fast. Currently in the playoffs, looking to try to get that debutant team here in A Squared a chance to fight for a championship. Brandon Featherplace, loyal to Line Power, missed a little bit of the season along with Millett. He's rocking that number 34. We'll see if he can make the Final 4. Daniel Michel, obviously in the Cheetos Mountain Duel 25. He's very good at these draft tracks. Won Fontana last year. Keep an eye on him. And lastly, Brandon Proudfoot in the number 22 Twisted Metal Machine. Obviously, is spots to the show on Peacock. Loves him a little bit of Samoa Joe. And we'll see if he can get a good run like Joe did with both the NXT and AEW championships and try to make something happen here. So we're going to see the pace car pull off this time by. Stages are going to be at, let me just confirm the number here so I do not make a boo-boo. Lap 20 and lap 50 will be the stage breaks. Other than that, restart on this one will be under the green flag. After this, it will be on the control of the driver that has the lead in question. As we get on ready here, pace car going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane. As the green flag is out for the penultimate round, the Michigan Stole My Sign 200 is underway. And we have a quick caution here quickly. Let's see who exactly it was for. A lot of cars in the back there. Heavy damage for some there. Dale Markowski, Michael Lawrence involved here. And you can see Ross Baxter tore up. There's Markowski. There's Michael Lawrence there. Obviously a bit hard to tell from that angle. We'll see if anyone else was involved. Withers looks okay. We'll check Proudfoot. Obviously he was back there. His car looks relatively unscathed. So obviously big chaos here in the middle of the pack. Bren Roberts right around the P15, P20 area. He's got a big crunkle on the fender. So we'll take a look here and see what exactly happened to cause this caution. So obviously you can see right now with Draft Tracks, it was getting pretty drafty up there. I'm going to play it out. Oh, it was just up the road. Markowski was just an innocent bystander. Baxter got a little bit of a hook there. And you can see the rest of the cars just trying to avoid making a bad situation worse. So we'll go into another look here. We'll go back again. We're going to focus up just up the road a little bit. We're going to go with the trusty eye in the sky camera here. Keep an eye on that number 60 white and blue West Virginia machine as we'll play it at 4th speed here. And you can just see, actually, we'll rewind just a second here. Oop, we'll pause. Then we'll rewind as you can see the incident happening. Then we're going to go up just the road here just a tiny bit. And now we'll play it at 4th speed. So Baxter on the low line. That's, I believe, Kevin Feemster in the middle groove here in the number 21. And you can just see the car drifts up the road. Drifts, drifts, drifts. And, oh, just a little bit of a speed wobble there by the 60 and the 21. Not expecting that. Clips the corner panel of the 60. Sears, good avoidance by Markowski. Nowhere to go. As he played out the rest of the way. You can see the rest of the field trying to avoid. Delela, Roberts nowhere to go. And you can just see the rest of the cars fanning out to avoid this incident. We'll take one more look at this as well. This time we'll focus on Proudfoot as it could have had major implications if he was involved. We're going to watch on board here. He's going to have a good view, a good seat in the house of the chaos here. So we're going to play it out right now, show you exactly what happened here this early on. There's the wreck. Cars trying to avoid, spinning in, spinning out. And you can see right there, oh, good avoidance there by the 22. That avoids major catastrophe and keeps his car looking pretty. So back to live action. See Bren Roberts on pit lane right now. He had a little bit of a fender crinkle there. Obviously, drivers do have one fast repair for their disposals if they so choose to use it. So this will play into the factor, but obviously for some of those cars, they will have to burn it early. But you can see by the long repair clocks by Markowski, Baxter, and Roberts, they are electing to manually fix their cars here and not try to burn a fast repair early on. Meanwhile, like Delela, looks like he fast repaired his car up quite nicely. Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence looks like he also elected to use a fast repair on his pit time too. So some electing just to get it out of the way and try to avoid major wrecks throughout the rest of this race. So maybe a bit of a lead balloon start there. Game ended up losing a spot to Hagan, but pretty much most of the field kind of kept their spots. Some of the big movers include Alfred George, who obviously avoided the wreck. He's now up P9. Danny Michelle up 6. Proudfoot up 7. Battles up 8 by avoiding the wreck. But up front, only big mover that was ahead of the wreck was Pelletier Sharp here, who gained 3 spots, now making it a top 5 right now, all for playoff drivers. Officially got the 1 to go, so obviously we can see here is Millett and Hagan, row 1. Gaiman, Zier, row 2. It will be Mongold and Sharp, row 3. Sears and Adams, row 4. Kevin Feemster and Alfred George, your first 5 rows. And these laps, playing, it does help because obviously the stage being so short, it helps the drivers that are up front right now getting less laps. It helps those drivers keep those spots or at least minimize the damage they could get. Meanwhile, the cars like Feather Place, Michelle, and Proudfoot all outside the top 10, they could be less time to make their way up to the front, could be less max points they could get. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. If we keep getting cautions on cautions, this could hurt drivers a little bit further back here, especially even the playoff drivers like the Feemsters, the Georges, the Mongolds, a little bit further back. Extra laps help these drivers out. So as the pace car gets ready to take the lonesome trip down pit lane, control will be on that number 31 machine of Zach Millett. Green flag is out, and away we go. Great launch by the 31, as he will be at least clear coming down the front stretch. Already getting a little racy there. You can see Hagen going over under here, trying to get a lunge there off the corner. Gaiman almost got clipped by Zier there. You can also see a little bit further back, Pelletier Sharp trying to make a move here on Lilac's ear. And we have another quick caution here. James Wright, obviously a bit bad of an angle. Wright going to have major catastrophes, but I'm thinking looking there, Josh Battles, heavy damage. So right now, and that right front toe link is pretty much destroyed on that number 71. So I got a bad feeling right now. This may be a bit of deja vu here, possibly, with two cars on spot. So we'll take a look here. Obviously, Battle's already involved in the wreck here. Caution was called a little bit later, so we're going to wind back. Yep, looks like another bit of a pinch situation. Obviously, it is not even in play with Battles in this case. It's actually just a little bit up the road with Stefan Oberstadt. So if I can find him on my little box here, names, there he is. So we're going to go up the spot, and he's side by side with Daniel Michel. So this could have been catastrophe for both. We'll go with the trusty eye in the sky camera again here. Rewind back, and we'll play it out here at 4th speed. See exactly what happened. So you can see Oberstadt on the low side, Michel on the high side. Obviously, it doesn't really tell us what exactly happened, but we saw it in the glimpse. Both cars came together. Oh, I think Michel got a little loose there off corner exit, clipped Oberstadt, shot them both up the road, send Proudfoot. You can see right there, the 13 to right clips 25, 3 goes in the 71. As we're going to play this out the rest of the way here, now following Battles, you'll see here. Big lick there on the inside wall. Nowhere to go for Battles. He pretty much destroys the toe link there. Take a second look at this again here. Find a good angle of this. Give me a second. We're going to wind back here, and we're going to go a little bit further up to Daniel Michel here. And we're going to get a little closer and now play it a little bit of a faster speed here. Because we just want to see, again, did Michel kind of bobble there a little bit. So we're going to play it out. Yeah, right there. The car kicked a little bit, came down, and Oberstadt just happened to be there. And then you can see cars having to fan down, go low, go high, try to avoid it. And obviously Battles nowhere really he could go here in that incident. We'll take 2 more looks at this. We'll go for another angle here, this time with no real good angles here of this incident. We'll take a look here, and we'll focus on the 13 of James Wright here as we play it out. Okay, just down the front stretch, Wright just nowhere to go, had to check down and avoids it. Big lick on the corner panel, though, but at least could buff out if need be. We'll take one more look at this. This time we're going to follow the person that had the kind of the best avoidance here, the 23 of Tommy Withers in that Mobile 1 machine. As he had a great look through this, as we're going to play it back here. Right, there's the contact. Withers goes low. 22.71 all in front of him. Doesn't lock the brakes up. Doesn't lose his cool. And great avoidance by Tommy Withers to avoid that wreck. So obviously STK not letting the names pop up on the battle box there. So sadly, going to have to listen to the keywords to hear who that driver was. But that was a very interesting second wreck to bring out the second caution here on lap number 7. Handful of cars in the pit lane again. Daniel Michel, obviously implications, got a little bit of damage. He elected to fix up that machine. He is away. Markowski also leaving his box now. Oberstadt as well. They'll all beat the pace car. Even Battles will be able to get out here, but he had a tow, so he'll at least be a lap down, if not 2, as he will now skip the pit lane. Back up front, we got officially the 1 to go this time by. Millet, Hagen are going to be in row number 1. Gaiman and Zier, row 2. Sharp, Mongold, row 3. Sears, Adams, row 4, and Alfred George and Kevin Feemster will be the first 5 rows. Drivers looking to have a green flag run here, at least to end the stage here. Hopefully some of these pre-jitters can clear out here and allow these drivers a good chance to have a nice stage 2 and stage 3 full of green competitive racing. Obviously right now, with those wrecks, Michel is now going to be P20. Proudfoot 12th and Feather Place 11th, just outside the top 10. Other than that, though, the remaining top playoff drivers are still in the first 3 rows. Again, take this opportunity as well. Thank you for everyone tuning in here on ABN Studios for the A Squared Midwest Barbecue A Squared Cup Series ARCS Midwest Barbecue A-Square Cup Series. A lot of A-Squares in there. For the ARCS Michigan 200, a.k.a. the Michigan Stole My Sign 200. Again, thank you for joining us. If you're in the chat right now, obviously I post a question, but let's hear some predictions of who you think will make the Final Four before this 100 laps is out if you are watching at home and can chat up. Let's hear who you're predicted to be the Final Four. We'll check on that at the end of stage number 1. But as pace car pulls on off, it's going to be on Millet's control here. Green flag is out, and away we go halfway through stage number 1. You already see drivers beginning to take runs here, trying to find lanes, make moves here. You can see some drivers being aggressive. For the most part, everyone gets through. Oh, a little bit of contact in the back there. We're going to zoom back for a second as the Layla almost got into Withers there. Actually, Lawrence got in the Withers, my mistake. But everyone keeps it clean there through the backstretch. Back up towards the front right now. Millet will lead the official first lap under green here. As you can see, though, Prout, it's pretty much a smorgasbord on back. Hagen, Zier, Shop, Mongold, your top 5. And right there, Gaiman beginning to drift back a little bit here. He's under pressure here from the 8 of Jonathan Adams. So the B-Tron cars swallowing the former B-Tron driver here. One already around, the other trying to follow suit here. Back up front, John Hagen getting a good run here. He'll be side by side here with Zach Millet heading off into 3 and 4. And you could say the favorites to be fighting for a championship in Miami in a couple weeks, next week I should say. Not even a couple weeks. This time by next week will be officially the finale. And the likelihood of these two drivers fighting for the championship is high. But right now Millet will hold his nerve, and Zier and Sharp will train on the outside line, trying to make a move there on John Hagen. Hagen will have to slot into 4th position here. We're keeping an eye on the wide shots here as cars are just getting runs, just trying to make moves and get up towards the front here. As you watch the battle up front, Lilac Zier, she wants a taste of the lead here. She has yet to find victory this season. It's had a lot of close shaves. Some would say she's definitely a consistent driver and definitely a favorite to make the Final Four on consistency. Maybe she'll take insult to that, maybe a bit of a Ryan Newman-esque season, but looking to try to break those trends and win to get herself a lock-in. Right now, she led that lap, and now Sharp's going to get in the Millet. They're going to touch fenders there. Everyone keeps it pointing in the right direction, but that could have been catastrophic considering the spot on the track. Adams is going to make a move there on Sharp. We're going to kind of follow multiple angles here. As you can see, cars making moves there. Millet will keep second, at least on the nerve, but Sharp's aggressive move, hey, can't fault the move for trying, but she will now fall back down to P6. Up front, Millet wants his lead back. You'll see him go low side here on Zier. Millet will lead that lap. Zier will be side by side as they head off into 1. First stage beginning to fly by here. If we can get green flag runs, you can see how quick this laps can tick by, just like a snap of the fingers here. Millet will take that lead. Zier will fall in the second as the rest of the cars fan out. I think Zier just clipped the wall just a tiny bit. Let's ride on board one of these cars here just to show you the angles of what's going on here. We're going to focus on Brandon Featherplace, as he's got a pretty good view right now of what's going on. Again, name boxes don't work. We're on the 34 right now, and you can just see it is pure chaos. Cars going high, cars going low. There's even a car right now, Proudfoot, chipping on the door of Tom Sears behind him, as we'll show in a second here. As you can just see cars battling out for position, just trying to get runs in the corners. And behind him, it's no better. There you can see Sears, Fencer, Roberts, Lawrence, Featherplace, Proudfoot on his corner panel right there as we go back to live shot. Zier currently right now falling under pressure. Gaiman having a big battle with Featherplace. This is pretty much 4, 6, and 8 all under a blanket here. One bad little swoggle of the car could easily take out a bunch of drivers if they're not careful. But A-Squared is full of a bunch of professionals that know car control and know how to keep their cars clean. So right now, Sharp holds off the charges here. You can see up front, it's still the Millet show with Hagen in tow. They're in second. Proudfoot, big lunge there on the low line, looking to make a move. 3 wide, almost going to have to settle for 1 spot. He'll be side by side with Mongold. And now Sears will slot in line. So Proudfoot now the last car inside the top 10. And this wide shot is going to be our friend here tonight. As cars battle for position, Sharp on the high line. Gaiman going to try to make a move. Gearcat's teammates. Obviously, it's every driver for themselves, but if both can get in, that would be ideal. But with Gaiman being 13 back before coming in tonight and Sharp being 4, these stage points can be crucial for both drivers, especially considering the bubble right now is Zier and Featherplace tied, and they are currently the next 2 cars behind there. As you can see, the black and red and the purple machine occupying the mirrors. Speaking of those 2 drivers tied, you can see right now they're fighting, but we're going to have to hold that thought. Up front, John Hagen, he wants that lead, and you can see right now it is a ding-dong battle as that 81 is going to get clear. Millet going to try to do the over-under possibly, but right now just a little bit too far back for the moment. Hagen will block it off. We'll see if Millet can get a good run here to send something off, but I think he may just be a little bit too far back. Hagen will lead that lap. Millet going to go low side here on the corner panel. You can see Adams also working in the wings. B-Tron car definitely right now not in the playoffs. Obviously driving for himself, but you know for a fact maybe a little bit of a team meeting here saying, hey, play nice with Hagen, work together here. As even though Hagen's got a cushion, we want to see him get into the final round and get as many stage points as he can to put the squeeze on the other cars. Adams will now get clear for second. Millet, Sharp, they are going to be side by side here for third. And then Gaiman right there as well. Millet going backwards here. The driver's been the most dominant this playoff. He's got to stop the bleeding here. There you can see now Millet under pressure from Mongold. Top 4 all under a blanket. Right now, we're keeping an eye on multiple things playing on our screens right now. So that's why we're kind of just, I'm just silently watching here. And right now, more importantly, Michelle right now, obviously not going to be able to get any stage points. Proudfoot as well could be at a risk of not getting stage points as well, as we now got 2 to go in the stage. Big battle here, but looking at the last spots in on stage points, that's right now Tom Sears currently sitting in 10th. And then you got right there, Proudfoot, you can see in the Twisted Metal machine as we'll quickly ride on board. You can see right now, at the moment, looking poised to get no stage points unless he can find a way to get back up towards the front here. Up front, Hagen, Adams, Sharp, your top 3. Then there's Gaiman there, so it's 2 B-Tron, 2 Gearcats, and then Bandit racing with another B-Tron. Seems like B-Tron has found a good speed here at Michigan. They're always a threat at these drafting-like tracks. 1 lap to go in the stage. Hagen still leading the way. Adams in second. And then it's pretty much single file all the way down. Then you can see for the last stage point right now, it is Feemster, Sears, and the other car in question, Proudfoot, all under a blanket here. We're staying wide shot here. That is sold out. Back up for the front here. Millet trying to get a charge. Stage should end, in theory, when the first car crosses the line. Sometimes it depends on the track. They'll let them race it out. But right now, Millet going to try to make a move here. Coming down the long straight. We'll go wide shot to the end. Hagen will take the win in the stage. Millet going to go low. Can he steal a spot from Sharp? Hagen will lead the stage here. Adams will be second. So Adams tried a late move there, could not get it done. Then Sharp, Gaiman, Millet, Mongold, Zier, Featherplace, Robert, Sears. Wait for a second to get that fully in order here before we count where everyone ended up finishing out in stage number 1. So it looks like, yep, Sharp got 3rd, Millet got 4th, Gaiman got 5th, Zier got 6th, Mongold 7th. Actually, it looks like maybe Mongold got 6th, 7th. And as the rest file in here, waiting for them to get kind of smudged up here. Yeah, it looks like actually Mongold got the head there, so it's actually 61, and then it's the 4, and then it's the 89, and then it's the 34, and then it's the 84 and the 14. Stage points obviously matter, so I want to make sure we got that written down correctly here before we calculate inward. So pit lane now officially opened. We'll see if anyone elects to pit in this time. By pit load will be a very crowded place as drivers begin to file in. More importantly, Proudfoot and Michelle both don't get stage points that stage. So right now, as we watch pit stops here, I'm going to do some calculations. John Vanna misses his box there. So that's going to cost us some time. So just bear with me for a second. I'm going to do some quick calculations to figure out where everyone is settled in at the moment. So right now, Hagan is still in. He should be 19 above the line. As you see, Hagan win the race off pit lane, by the way. So right now, at the moment, it is currently Hagan, Millet, and then there's a tie again for the last two spots. Right now, at the moment, it is Zier and Sharp currently tied at the moment for last spot in, both at 40-46 right now at the moment. Then Feather Place right now 1 point back, currently at 40-45. And then Josh Game, the only other drivers to get stage points that stage, is currently doing quick math here. 11. So right now, as we see them presumably get the one to go right now, John Hagan is currently clear, 19 above the line, if my math is correct. Then Zach Millet, at the moment, still extending his lead about now over by 10. And then it is Zier and Sharp tie at the moment for the last two spots in. Brandon Featherplace is 1 point back, and Josh Gaiman is 11 back. On that, Proudfoot and Proudfoot is actually tied right now with Gaiman 11 back, and Michelle, now going to drift further back, is now going to be at least 19 back. So Michelle, pretty much with no stage points in the first stage, has gone from probably needing a must-win now. Gaiman still going to need a good stage to make this last run manageable between these drivers. We'll do an update at the second stage, firmly and showing where everyone is. But right now, first four drivers in are Hagan, Millet, Zier, and Sharp, with Feather Place 1 point back, and Josh Gaiman 11 back, along with Proudfoot. So that is an update right now at the end of the first stage of the playoffs here. Speaking of, as they fire off here, it is going to be Hagan, Millet, row 1, Gaiman, Sharp, row 2. Then it's going to be Zier, Featherplace, Mongold, Roberts, Adams, Sear, your top 10. As we saw Adams miss his box, he lost a lot of time. Other than that, more noteworthy, Proudfoot, long pit stop with a little bit of damage. He'll be firing off 18th, and Daniel Michelle will be firing off 19th, both outside the top 10. So ball playoff drivers in the first 3 rows. We'll see how it all plays out. Pace car going to pull off. It's going to be on John Hagan's control here. Green flag is out, and away we go to start stage number 2. You can see right now Hagan beginning to pull away and get some good distance here. Meanwhile, you can see Millet, Gaiman battling, came back. So I thought we saw a chance at a little bit of some catastrophe here on track. But everyone at the moment holding and holding their P's and Q's and playing it nicely. Hagan will lead this lap, and he will put another lap and try to extend his gap. Probably trying to make it an insurmountable gap and try to inadvertently lock his way into the playoffs as long as he finishes this race in a decent spot. Rest of the cars file out here. You can see right now, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all under a blanket here as they joggle for position. Sear obviously right now last in by a point, but a Feather Place is obviously able to get a 1 point advantage on that number 89 machine. That would shake things up quite nicely. Speaking of silver bracket update there, you can see Bren Roberts right now. If he finishes where he is, he would pretty much wouldn't mathematically way in because he didn't get he got 2 stage points. Mongold got 5, so that swings it under. So right now, Roberts, again, trying to lock up the silver bracket tonight. Unrelated, obviously, to the main action of the playoffs, but Roberts trying to at least do that for some pride and also give himself an All-Star race appearance, even though with his win at Talladega, it automatically locks him into the All-Star race. Meanwhile, up front, 2nd position, it is 61-31. separated by number 30 in digits. They are battling for his position. Gaiman, being 11 back, needs to make sure he gets all the stage points he can and try to bring that gap a little bit closer. Right now, side by side for second, on track. Then you can see Feather Place right now in fourth. He's listening in. He knows the mission well, and I assume these team chats right now are all battling for position, knowing the team spots right now. Battle for the lead. Have to hold that thought as it is 3 wide. We'll get a better angle as that angle was not showing off what was going on. Gaiman trying to be aggressive. Millet going to sneak it around the high side. Now Gaiman going to be trying to make it a 2-for-1 special here. Heading off in the corner. Millet gets into Gaiman. Millet hits the wall. Big implications there as cars file out there. We stayed green, but Zach Millet is heavily damaged from that incident. We're going to stay on the lead for a second here just because they are battling for the lead. And we're going to cut back to Zach Millet, who has had to tow it down pit lane here. As you can see right now, they file for position. Zach Millet right there. You can see how destroyed that car is. He has a faster pair, but he is going to at least lose a lap because of this. Look at that. The hood is in the zone hammer right there. So we're going to look at that in a second here. We're going to focus on the lead, let this settle out, and then we're going to take a look at exactly what happened there. So his Feather Play is going to capitalize quite nicely, as you can see right now as well. Hagen, Zier, Sharp, all under a blanket here, fighting for position. And as we watch this ride off to the sunset, we are going to take a quick look here exactly what happened with Zach Millet, as he luckily wasn't able to tow. So we're going to take a quick 30 seconds here to watch this, and we're going to go back to live action. So you'll see it right here as we play it live. Gaiman comes up the road. They just touch. Gaiman gets a little bit squirrely, and that gets Millet onto Hagen, and that destroys that 31 machine as he is pretty much just heavily damaged, and he will come down to pit lane and lose a lap. Back to live action. We're focusing on Hagen there, currently in fourth, but right now up front, Feather Place capitalizing on a treat, and he will now be battle position. Mongol puts in the wall a little bit there. Gaiman now kind of knowing, hey, maybe got away with one there. The bad luck shook the other foot there, and right there you can see Hagen changing lines. So Hagen and Gaiman have recovered. Roberts almost got in the back quarter panel of Hagen as the battle for the lead. Gaiman looking to clear. As they are battling side by side a little bit further back, you'd see they're getting squirrely. Mongol in the wall again. Major checkups there as cars file out of position. They will all get around Mongol. Mongol just got a little bit too much pressure there and kind of his chin cracked. Luckily won't take anyone else out with him, but he will now fall outside the top 10. This time by 20 laps to go in the stage. Gaiman will take the lead here, will lead a lap. Speaking of Zach Millet, he is still with a lanky repair. He did not burn a fast pair, it seems. Right there, you'll see him on the pit lane if we ever get a good angle. He is on a long clock here. This could have major implications. Speaking of, I want to report one other thing as well. Just on noteworthy circumstances here. There are incident points as well where these drivers could play out. Obviously, if Control decides that's an incident, it could maybe reward a penalty to Gaiman. Could reward a point for Hagen. Could be Millet. Could be Race Control. Could be a racing incident. Could be up in the air, but that could have a penalty attached to it. So at the moment, obviously, they're unofficial results, but depending on how the points shake up, this could have implications as Millet is still down pit lane. He's now at least 4 down at the moment and beginning to fall. He does not have the cushion really to be able to survive this. We'll have to keep an update on it. Gaiman, Hagen, 1-2. Roberts now up to third. Right at the moment, he would at least make up for the bad stage 2 and try to lock up the silver bracket. Then there's Feather Place in fourth. Zier in fifth, Sharp in sixth, and then you can see Sharp, Adams, and Proudfoot all under a blanket here between 6th, 7th, and 8th. And it's just heartbreaking for Zach. Again, I know I keep focusing on Millet, but it is just heartbreaking for him, as it's another lap down with no sign of reprieve. Just checking to make sure nothing else major has happened here. Just checking on the lines here. We will, if we don't go caution-free, we may take a look. Obviously, we got some math to do, so we'll see if we can take a look at that before the end of the stage one more time to see exactly what happened if we need to. But right now, battle for third, Roberts and Feather Place side by side. We'll focus on Lilacs here. She's got a pretty good seat right now behind these two, as she's now sitting in 5th position. Yet her main rival right now is that number 34, but with Millet pretty much could be possibly out of contention. That frees up a spot for that line. Basically, right now, Millet's not getting any points, and being right now 4, 5 down from the leaders. Right now, at the moment, he is 6 down if he doesn't get out of the pit lane soon. So at the moment, he still will be inside the top 4, but it is very hard to make up 6 laps in about the equivalent of a little under 65 laps. Up front, Feather Place Roberts was able to get clear while we were watching Zier there. Now still side by side. We'll also keep an eye on Gaiman and Hagen, with Gaiman being 11 points back. Coming at the end of stage number 2, winning this stage would be beneficial for him. It would cut into the deficit a little bit and make it a chance that he could try to point his way in, going from the must-win category like Michelle to the point-your-way-in category. Speaking of, you can see Proudfoot making a big lunge there as well, trying to make a 2-for-1 special, getting around Adams, getting around Roberts, now side by side with Pelletier Sharp as they come down the long stretch. So you can see up front, the top 2 has still remained unchanged. If Hagen gets a good run, we will cut back to it. But right now we're focusing on these little battles just inside the top 10. And at the same point, there's implications. We're going to cut back up to the lead, though. We'll stop talking about that for a second. We'll cut up to the lead. John Hagen trying to get a run on Gaiman. Hagen looking to sweep the stages. And his B-Tron pink and black machine. And he will get clear. So put the 81 up to the lead. And he will take back the lead here. Gaiman now will slot in second. And Brandon Featherplace, you can see in tow, currently sitting in third with Lilac Zier fourth and Pelletier Sharp fifth. Then it's Roberts and Proudfoot. Speaking of a little bit further back, you can see right there, that's Austin Mongol, but Jonathan Adams trying to make a move on Proudfoot. Cars battle for position, try to make runs, get moves here. Proudfoot gets a little loose off corner exit there. That's going to open the door for Adams. We're going to cut back up to here, though. Proudfoot battling this spot. Featherplace trying to get a move on Gaiman. Can't get the run. Will slot in, and it is razor close between the two there. As you can see right there, Zier giving a little bit of space there, not trying to maybe wreck that 34. Indirectly will leave space. Pretty much top 8 all under a blanket here in this wide shot, as you can see, but it's still led by the choo-choo train of the 81 of John Hagen. For those at home and for the Millet fans right now, Millet is still not left the pit lane here. The clock is still ticking on his clock right now, as it is moving onward. He is pretty much out of contention. He is going to need mass chaos if he wants any sort of chance to advance, as he is looking at pretty much last place points billings. Obviously, he did have a little bit of a cushion for the first and second stage, but will it be enough to save points? We'll do some calculations at the end of stage 2, but right now, Millet, any chance of him gaining up spots, he could probably get maybe 1 or 2 more if he can get out. But right now, he has to still get out on the track here. Clock is now 7 minutes and counting. So he's still focused on this battle here for second as well. See, it's Hagen, Gaiman, Featherplace, Zier. You can see some drivers changing lines like Proudfoot. He's gone from the high line to the low line. Speaking of, we'll actually ride on board with the number 22 machine of Proudfoot and the Twisted Metal machine. As you can see right now, he's going from high to low, low to high. He's trying whatever he can in that number 22 just to try to get a lunge here. Looking on board, we're still focused on him because this gives us a good view of what we're seeing up front right now as cars fan out for position. But right now, up front, you can see right there in the wide shot, Gaiman was able to get around, get past there by Featherplace. Now Pelletier Sharp going to try to make a move as well. So one Gears Cats car will leap another Gear Cats car as they all battle for spot here. Adams, Zier, side by side there for 5th and 6th. Cars fan low. We'll go with a wide shot just to show you. You can see trying to break the toe, trying to break the draft. Shades of Indianapolis a little bit in the Champ Car machinery, just trying to break draft there. Proudfoot looks like clipped the wall just a little bit. He's going to lose a little bit of time here. They fan out. This time by, we'll have 8 laps to go. Featherplace trying to chase down John Hagan. Again, pretty much the good breakaway here. Just to show you how big the breakaway is, you can see pretty much the top 8 right up to Sears here. 9, all a bit of blanket. Then you got about a second back, Kevin Feemster. And just again, just to show you how big that is, this is Kevin Feemster riding on board here. That is how much a second looks by right now, being about a second and some change back from 9th position. And then Austin Mongols even a little bit further back than that. It becomes even bigger, just to show you. But right up front, you can see it's getting a little bit scrapey here. As you saw how close it was between Zier and Gaiman and Sharp. Sharp going to try to get a good run here on Featherplace for second. And look at that, Gaiman and Zier. They'll be side by side heading off into the corner. Again, 10 points, 10 stage points can be a big difference here for some of these drivers. You know, Featherplace, knowing right now he's currently 1 point out, gaining an extra point could be crucial. Pelletier Sharp currently in a deadlock with Zier. Getting those 10 crucial points could be enough to break the tie and give a little extra cushion. It is all the play for here for stage points. Look at that. Sharp almost bodied Zier there. Off corner exit. Sharp flirting with the wall. Zier going to try to clear heading off into 1. Next time by, we'll have 5 laps to go. Look at Hagan, going to try to go low, try to break the toe here. Featherplace not going to bite. He will stay in his middle lane. Five laps to go. Wide shot again kind of shows us the justice. You can see right now pretty settled out for the moment here. Focusing on the lead. You can see Proudfoot again trying different lines. Try to get that 22 as wide as he can. For some of these drivers, the mindset is I'm strong here. For others, it's just survive and get me a better track in Homestead. They know they're better at that track than this one. So we'll see how mindsets change here. This time by, we'll have 4 laps to go in the stage. Pit lane closes with 2 to go. Yet fuel should be good for all the cars. No fuel concerns here to come the end of stage number 2. Obviously saw it on the far shot there. Adams and Roberts fighting. Not any major implications here, but Gaiman now going to clip the wall a bit. That's going to cost him maybe 1, 2 spots here at the very least. Maybe even a third with Proudfoot. He's going to go from 5th to 7th in just the span of a corner. Now Proudfoot going to try to lunge in as well. Implications aplenty as Gaiman needs as many stage points as he can get here. Proudfoot will clear. We're focusing on this for the moment. Battle for second also heating up at the moment as well. Battle for 7th. Featherplace still holding off Zier. Next time by, we'll have 2 laps to go. Right now, Proudfoot looking poised to keep this battle. Gaiman seems to be struggling on the long run here as he's under pressure from Tom Sears. Going to cut back up to Featherplace, Hagan, and Zier as they're all fighting for position here. Hagan clear at the moment by 2 tenths off Featherplace. Zier there as well in the distance. 2 laps to go. We're right on board here with Pelletier Sharp. She's got a pretty good seat in the house. She's also ready to capitalize and get a chance to make a run for a top 3. Zier, Featherplace side by side there. Zier going to try to rip it around the high side. Featherplace going to stay low. Still no way you can settle it to them. Feather Place, Sears. Feather Place cannot get clear there. And they're going to be battling down the long straight. Zier will get clear, put Zier up a spot. Could be major implications with that. And as Hagen will come around to see the white flag, stage ends when Hagen takes the flag, or if a caution comes, whichever one comes first. Hagen, white flag lap in the stage, looking poised to go back-to-back in stage 1 and stage 2. Zier, Feather Place Sharp needs to hold on for dear life as she's in a bit of a tight spot here. Jonathan Adams gets a little loose here. Gonna spin off, no implications. He keeps the car saved. Back up to the top 3. Pretty much spaced out for the most part here. Feather Place Gaiman. You also got Sharp and Roberts. But as they come off the last quarter, John Hagen will take stage number 2. He will sweep the stages here, and it will be glorious. Battle for second, though, close between Feather Place and Zier, but Zier will take it. So it will be Hagen winning the stage with Zier in second, Feather Place in third, Sharp in fourth, Roberts in fifth, Proudfoot sixth, Gaiman 7th, Sears 8th, Adams 9th, and Kevin Feemster rounding out the top 10. So another 10 Busey stage points for Hagen. Zier will get 9. Feather Place will get 8. Sharp will get 7. Proudfoot with 5. Gaiman with 4. And then Michelle will get 0 along with Millet. So as we'll see pit stops occur this time by, I'm going to do some quick calculations here to figure out where all the drivers stand heading into the final stage of tonight. So we'll see pit stops occur here in just a second. So we'll see pit lane. Obviously, it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for the field here. So we see pit lane being a crowded place here. So I'm about to finish up my total here, so just give me 2 seconds. Hagen, Feather Place will win the race off pit lane. Actually, it will be Hagen, but very close here between the top 3. So at the moment, about to finish up my math here. So here is how, right now, at the moment, these drivers shake up in the standings. At the moment, we're looking at the 4 drivers in as we speak. John Hagen, 23 above the cut line. There he is right there. And actually, Feather Place did win the race off pit lane, so actually Feather Place will line off in front position. Next car in will be Zach Millett right now, but Millett, multiple laps down. He's only 4 above the cut line. It looks not poised. He will make it. Gaiman also with a long clock there as well. That could have implications as well here, as he has been stuck in the pit lane for well over a minute. He will now fire off with fix some damage. Maybe we've got a penalty possibly for jumping the pace car, but he is now away, but he will stay on the lead lap. Next car up, speaking of Zach Milt, 4 above the line. Then you got Lilac Zier, 2 above the line right now, currently in 3rd. And then lastly, it is a tie for 4th place. It is Brandon Featherplace, currently tied with Lily Pelletier Sharp, both at 45-3. Now, this math is unofficial. Some penalty points will be applying, but right now, that is at the moment. We have a dead heat between Featherplace and Sharp. Whoever finishes ahead of other would be in at the moment. Obviously, though, with Millet not at the moment getting any points, getting last place billings, things can change. Then you got Josh Gaiman, currently, actually got Brandon Proudfoot 13 points back, and Josh Gaiman 14 points back, and Daniel Michelle 26 points back. So pretty much at the moment, it is a fight between 5 drivers over 4 spots, but right now at the moment, it looks poised to be Hagen, Zier, Featherplace, and Sharp. But if Gaiman is probably in a must-win along with Proudfoot, and right now Michelle is as well, and for Millet, he is going to need mass wreckouts for some playoff drivers if he wants to salvage this. Field is about, pace car is about to pull off. It is going to be on Brandon's Featherplace's control here with John Hagen right beside him in the front row. Pace car pulling off as we are going to get ready for the final stage here. Green flag is out, and away we go for the final stage here at the Michigan 200. Hagen will lead that lap with Featherplace in tow, and it's Zier, Sharp, and Proudfoot, your next 3 in line, with Sears trying to crash the party. Again, Proudfoot being one of those drivers in a must-win, I would assume. 13 points. Tom Sears way off the road there. He will save it, but definitely a far excursion. But to go back to my point, Proudfoot probably in a must-win here. But we know when chips are down, he's willing to try different things to get spots along with Zier. They both are very resourceful drivers to try to make moves. Hagen will lead that lap with Featherplace in 2nd, Proudfoot in 3rd, Zier in 4th. Proudfoot again getting the crawl and beginning to move. Remember, he missed qualifying. So taking advantage of the opportunity to try to get forward here. He is going to go low big time on that and try to make it a 2-for-1 special here, as he is going to be side by side with John Hagen, but he's not going to get the runoff he needs per se. They are still going to be side by side down the long straight. He will clear Featherplace, but can't get fully up the road there, so it's going to be a drag race down the front stretch here. Featherplace, Proudfoot side by side. Featherplace right at the moment back in 2nd, but you know Proudfoot's willing to make those big lunges if he needs to be. Ooh, a bit of a wall hit there for Featherplace. That could check it up a little bit right into Zier. And if Proudfoot can find his way to victory lane, it becomes a duel between Featherplace, Zier, and Sharp for the last spot in. Even though Millet right now is still technically in, with him getting last place billing and it being about a 20-point swing, it is not going to be enough. So right now, tentatively, even though Millet is in the top 4 still, I am not counting him in the math just because of where he's currently is on track. Look at Proudfoot, though, going to go very low on Hagen. He wants this lead, and he wants it bad. Still side by side at the moment between the two of them. Proudfoot Hagen still side by side trying to find the best angle. Proudfoot very deep as well. Can he get that Twisted Metal Machine to clear? He can! Put Proudfoot up to the point at least for momentarily. Hagen going to try to answer back. Meanwhile, you'll see Hagen go low. You can also see Roberts and Featherplace having a battle there in the far shot here, but we're focusing on the lead. Sharp and Zier also battling. Hagen, Proudfoot, side by side. They had their battle in Indianapolis, shades of Indy, maybe a couple months ago. I was talking about it before we went on stream, thinking about alternate strategies. Indianapolis is probably the last track that kind of had this fast speed drafting kind of situation, and that played in the Proudfoot's hands. He leads the point right now, and he's beginning to set sail a little bit. Hagen, under pressure from Bren Roberts. Proudfoot now down to 4th. Proudfoot right at the moment trying to get a good draft here. Speaking of that 34, we'll ride on board for a moment with the 34, Proudfoot. Currently sitting in 4th. At the moment, I know I'll keep updating, but we'll keep doing this. It is right now Hagen, Proudfoot, Zier, and Featherplace, the final 4 right now as we speak. But Sharp is legitimately 1 spot behind right now, trying to make a lunge here. You can see her right there in that number 18. Believe Zier would still be clear, but there's a point she could be tied as well. Sharp going to go high-low here. Obviously, what will get you in the playoffs? Winning the race, and right now Proudfoot is doing that up the lead right now. Sharp, Featherplace, and Featherplace, the last time he's had a bit of a rodeo. He was battling Braille a week ago, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago at Bristol, where it was for the last spot in, and he ended up getting the lunge. Sharp going to get clear there, so now Sharp is in right now as we tentatively speak. Proudfoot actually just lost the lead while we were watching that. He got over-undered by John Hagen. Now Bren Roberts, maybe a good case of what could be, as he is now sitting in 2nd. Trying to, what would have probably locked him in the playoffs last week, now trying to go back-to-back here and clinch the silver bracket. Proudfoot very deep on the number 84 again. Again, no stage math left here. It is pure racing to the finish. Finish the best, you get the spot. Proudfoot going to lose another one to Sharp. This is what Featherplace and Zier want to see, is that 22 can't find his way to victory lane. They are probably poised to make it, flanking John Hagen. Proudfoot will slot in the 3rd, very aggressively. Sharp, though, misses clutch, currently sitting in 4th. And it is a big train there, so we'll stay wide-shotting. This is where teammates and having friends can help a little bit in some lines. Obviously, Zier and Roberts are teammates at Presidential Racing. Proudfoot going to go low here aggressively, trying to get around Roberts. Look at Kevin Feemster as well. He's gotten that machine up to the top 7. He's looking to crash his party as well. Roberts will keep 2nd. Proudfoot now going to fall down to 5th, just ahead of Lilac Zier. As we're focusing on this battle here, cars will have to pit. They will probably pit within the next 10-ish laps here. We'll see cars come down to take their final pit stop of the race. Speaking of, looking in the chat right now, while I had a second, Millet, obviously heartbroken what happened. Had the fast repair box checked, and it looks like it did not register, so live by the iRacing sword, die by the iRacing sword, and that is going to be curtains for Millet here more than likely. As his days, even though he's still on the pit box, but being that many laps down, it's unlikely any car will catch him on his lap. And even if they wreck out, it's unlikely because he was wrecked at 27, or he had his incident at 27 as we watch the battle for 2nd here. We're on 65. That's going to put him 40 down, and with under 40 to go here, yeah, it is. He will not gain any more spots. He maybe gain 1 more with James Kerr, but that will not be enough. So Millett with a strong performance. His day is officially done here, and it's probably his playoff hopes go up in smoke as well. In the battle for second, Sharp now going to try to clear Roberts here as we've been watching this. Proudfoot not going away like a bad rash. Sharp gets a little loose, though. Going to go wide shot here. You can see, and that's actually not a good angle. We'll go tight shot here. And you can see right now, Featherplay is going to try to zoom around the outside along with Roberts. There is Proudfoot going to split the difference here. We're focused on this is the battle for second, by the way. All these cars in this little gaggle here. John Hagan has opened up about 7/10, as you see on the wide shot. Sharp not going away, got a little loose, but she will still be side by side here. But the high line prevails on the straights, it seems. See right there, Sharp trying to get clear, and she will clear the 84 Roberts. Further back, Featherplace, Proudfoot, they're battling for fourth. Oh, Proudfoot had to put the brake on a little bit there to avoid an incident. He'll keep the spot, but you know he's trying to drive that wheel off. Obviously, when we get to the end here, I assume it will be 4 tires and fuel for the final pit stop. No one will be daring to take 2 tires as this is a tire-eating track. But someone may be crazy enough to try something, maybe like a Michelle, like a Gaiman, currently sitting in 11th and 12th. They got to try something aggressive if they want to get in, as they are now in must-wins too. Focusing still on this battle for third, fourth, and fifth as Featherplace right now at the moment is clear. Zero will get hold on. Roberts will fall down 2 spots. You can see is it's just pretty single file here. We're actually right on board here with Pelletier Sharp just for a second, just to show you how big that gap is in comparison to John Hagan just up the road. She's in, so she doesn't have to worry per se, but you know that pressure eats her. She'd like a second win if she can get it. This time by, we'll have 30 laps to go as Hagan will cross the line. 2, 3, 4, 5, all under a blanket. And we'll take this opportunity to do a quick, rapid read-down of all the chase drivers and where they stand right now. As I'll hold that thought as Proudfoot got into Roberts' corner panel there. Won't be able to fully get clear, though, and he'll have to check back at line. So you're going to try to make a move on Proudfoot. We'll do Featherplace. We'll do that right down in a second here. But I want to finish out this, watch this battle here play out as the battle for second is now raging and heating up here. At the moment is still Hagan. In no particular order here. It right now is Hagan, I believe Zier, Featherplace, Sharp, your top 4 right now, making it to Miami next week. Featherplace clear. He's now up the second. Zier, Sharp, they'll be fighting down the long straight here, but Zier will fall back. She will slot back to 4th. Sharp will keep 3rd. Sharp going to try to make a move on the 34 here. Proudfoot still on the toe here, but again, being a driver in a must-win. So we'll take the second in the action to show where all the chase drivers are. Right there, John Hagan leading this way. 27.5 above the line. Sorry, 23. Poised to make it through even with a win. He sits P1. Featherplace currently sitting in second. Currently in at the moment. Then it's Sharp and Zier, 3rd and 4th, both in as well. Then you got Proudfoot currently sitting in 6th under attack here from Jonathan Adams. He's probably in a must-win, currently 13 points back. Then you got Daniel Michelle here, along with Josh Gaiman. Michelle, first time he's been north of the top 10 here all day. Has he left it a little bit too late? Currently in 9th, probably going to need a caution, along with Gaiman to get back in this thing. And then Zach Millett, the curious case of Zach Millett. It has been a days to forget, as it is pretty much playoffs done for him in the number 31. So back up the second. Green flag pit stops loom here. What do you do? Do you take 4? Do you try 2 if you're a little bit further back? If you're like a Michelle or Gaiman, do you roll the dice? Do you go undercut? Do you go overcut? This could make or break a season, and more importantly, you do not want to speed or miss your box or anything when this happens, but it looks like first car is in. It is Brandon Proudfoot. There he is, coming in along with Kevin Feemster. They will be the first 2 to pit as the window is officially open. So Proudfoot signifies the undercut is his pathway to glory as he will hit his box here. We'll stand with him a second, make sure everything goes well, locks it up, but does not have to back it up. I would assume 4 tires with that lockup. We'll watch him just for a second here. 2 up. And he is away. Interesting call there. Back up to the lead. He is rolling the dice. Hagen still pulling away, will not cover off. Anyone else pitting here in the major pack? They will not. Adams, Roberts under attack here for the top 5. At the moment, I believe Roberts would lock up the silver bracket where he stands. 25 laps to go. Ooh, Roberts got a little loose there. He will fall a spot back to Adams. Again, when do you blink in this pack here? The longer you go, the more protected you are for green flag pit stops. I'm sorry, green white checkered attempts, along with everything else, so that you can get extra fuel in it. But you do risk the risk, because right now Proudfoot did not go a lap down. So if a caution were to come out, he could, theoretically, if it comes out early enough, cycle in, get fresh tires, and gain a spot. So Proudfoot not a lap down at the moment. There he is right there. Speaking of him, there's John Hagen coming out of 3 and 4. Proudfoot beginning to reel in another driver that is yet to find victory. Second and third have not found victories this year, and they are going into Homestead at the moment, currently in the top 4, have yet to find victories. Feather Place won last year at Gateway. Sierra has yet to find victory in the A-Squared Cup Series this season or in her whole A-Squared career. Obviously, she's won an ARCS, but not that. John Hagen, he's in. Hagen is going to be the next driver in along with Sharp, and oh, Mongold locks it up, and he will keep it under control. But he almost packed into the back of Pelletier Sharp, and we're going to quickly rewind here just to show you how big this could have been. As he was on the brakes here, so we're quickly going to watch here Austin Mongold coming in the box, and he almost rear-ended the 18 of Sharp. Oh, just so close there. May have sped, but that could have been catastrophe for the 18, unaware that she almost got her lights clocked out there. Back up to the front, Feather Place now inheriting the lead. We'll see if he comes in this time by. He will, along with Lilac Zier. They are both in. Again, do not want to speed if you can help it. Adams will take the lead, along with Gaiman in second. Keeping an eye on strategies here. John Hagen, he came in, took 4 tires along with Pelletier Sharp. Assuming going to be same strategies, it will be for Zier and, well, Zier at the moment are in their box. We'll check on them in a second. But right now, they are both poised to take 4 tires. So we're watching their clocks right now as we're focusing on the lead. Yep, Feather Place took 4 tires, and Zier will also take 4 tires. So at the moment, as we watch Adams lead this race with Gaiman in second, Gaiman going long, maybe hoping for a caution here. It is interesting. Rossbach's will pit. Proudfoot will be your inherent race leader as we speak. But there's a caveat to that. He took 2 tires along with Roberts. And then you got John Hagen here on 4 fresh tires. Currently at the moment about 6 seconds back. We saw 2 tires work at Nashville for Proudfoot, but it didn't work many weeks later when he needed to pull it off. This is basically his Hail Mary throw, and that number 22 is Baxter now will jump a spot. But he also has to hold off Brian Roberts, who's racing for pride here, who also took 2 tires. Gaiman is officially in. He will be the last of the playoff drivers to pit. Adams will stay out along with Oberstadt and George. Speaking of, there is Adams. They all have yet to make their final pit stops of the night. We're focusing, going to go back to Roberts and Proudfoot because this is crucial. This is what will be the de facto lead when it cycles through. We'll keep an eye on Gaiman as well. Obviously, he's going to get past here regardless, so it will not matter. He will not take back the lead no matter what he does, but he will take 4 tires and fuel as well in that number 61. At the same point, if Hagen can reel in and will go back, Hagen under pressure from Peltier sharp as well, as that gap is close between the two of them. We're focused on the de facto lead. Oberstadt, Adams will pit. Elfridge George will show him for a second. He takes the lead of this race. And Roberts, while we were cut away, got around Proudfoot. Now Roberts is leading this race, and Proudfoot, sensing this, has to make a move here. Almost you think he'd be wheeling and dealing, trying to get some slack here. Roberts will take the lead. So once Elfridge George pits, we'll have a clue where all the intervals are. But right now, as we speak, I think the gap is a little over 5 seconds from Roberts to Hagen. You can see the top 2. We're still focused. This is the battle for the lead. We'll cut back to where Hagen is. You can see the next 4. This is at the moment poised to be the final 4 at Miami in a couple, well, 1 week, I should say. I say a couple weeks, but it's not a couple weeks. It's next week. This is what the final 4 could be at the moment if Proudfoot can't work magic and get in to the final 4 with a win. After that, it will be some voodoo math to figure out how it shakes up. But right there, you know the name of the game. Proudfoot trying to do whatever he can to get back around Roberts, but Roberts right now setting better lap times. That time by, he was faster by 0.2. Alfred George has officially hit his box. He is in, meaning the lead will cycle over to the 84 Coca-Cola machine of Brendan Roberts. And the gap is growing between him and Proudfoot. Speaking of, with John Hagen, we'll ride on board with the second. You can see that's how big, about give or take 5, maybe 4.5 seconds is. It's going to be 5.76. That just shows you how big of a gap he has to make up in 17 laps. Meanwhile, at the moment, Michelle and Gaiman both lap down respectively. Long pit stop clocks for both of them. They are pretty much out of this race. Millett has now officially re-entered the track. And yeah, you can tell it is curtains for him. Just driving around for pride, but oh, that just stinks to see the 31 here. What could have been? Proudfoot still drifting further and further back here. Maybe was hoping Roberts wouldn't play the same strategy, but Roberts pulling away as we speak. Gap is now a second and growing. At this point, it makes you wonder if you're Proudfoot, do you hope a caution comes now? Because I don't think you can reel back in this number 84 machine. I don't think it's a closable gap. Meanwhile, we'll cut back as well. You can see him trying to drive that wheel. We're going to cut the Mongol. Mongol's actually spun back here. He is way low, and he will tow. We'll take a quick look here. Probably towing to avoid trying to get a caution called here. Doesn't want to actually risk something here. Yeah, it was single car. You'll see him. He just gets loose off exit. Tries to save it. And this is how it all plays out here. So up front, it is actually, we're not actually live replay. Now we're back to live replay. Roberts, you can see the smoke here. Playing factor is Roberts, Proudfoot, Hagen, your top 3. Gap is now gained to 2 seconds. Proudfoot just watching that close and close. You can see him listening on board, trying to squeal the tires. Back, further back. It is Proudfoot right now just trying to not keep the gap here. And you can see Feather plays, Zier, Sharp, all under a blanket. Again, this is the tip. They're not really making the most inroads on Roberts. And look at Zier trying to drive it. Right now, again, this is the top 4 heading into Miami. Because looking at it, Millet's out, and right now it would be still Hagan. Indirectly, obviously, points could shuffle, but this is the top 4 right now. You don't even need crazy math to figure it out, as they had a big gap, bearing any penalty points. This is the final 4 heading into Miami if we don't see another caution, and if Proudfoot can't get back ahead of Ron Roberts. But you can see right now that gap is closing and closing quickly. There is that 22 machine. It is closing and closing and closing and closing. Right on board here with Zier. This is where it gets interesting because obviously there's not 100% if she's listening on the stream or not. None of these drivers, I'm not 100% if they're listening or not. Right now, if I'm a team owner, I'm telling them, you don't have to press. Don't wreck the car, because if you wreck the car, you could bleed enough points to fall back. But at the same point, it's in a racer's instinct to race. Just in case chaos happens, every point matters. You don't want to loop it like Mongol did. You don't want to risk wrecking it, but at the same point, driving for pride. There's no bonus. Everyone gets recycled in the final 4, but they are going to race it out to the curtain just in case something happens. This could play implications. Meanwhile, Hagan was able to get around Proudfoot, so put Hagan to second, now Proudfoot down to third. His strategy, he tried it, and he just didn't have the same life Roberts did in his tires, as Roberts is pulling away, and it's still 3 seconds with 10 laps to go. Oh, Proudfoot just trying to wheel that car, doing whatever he can. Feather place will clear sharp. Proudfoot will fall back to 6, and it is just a strategy that's gone wrong for that 22. He is hoping for a caution or something. Other than that, like I said, the other drivers, update on them as you watch this battle here. Michelle currently 1 down along with Gaiman. They would need a caution. Gaiman, I think, is pulled behind the wall. He is done along with pretty much Millet, even though Millet is still taking laps. So Millet and Gaiman have been pretty much eliminated. Bearing any catastrophes, Michelle would need a caution. He is the lucky dog, though. Now the question is, can Hagan catch Roberts? 8 laps to go, and right now Hagan is got that gap down, but right now it is about 3.21. Looking at intervals that time by, Hagan was only 3 tenths quicker. That would not be enough to catch the driver of the 84, who we got to give our flowers to. It probably stings a little bit knowing that 84 probably would have been locked in the next round with the win at Talladega, and he's found his form late. But he will, at least at the moment, will clinch the silver bracket, or the silver standings, and will at least have that accomplishment for him, and the Oodies and Goodies, that accomplished it. Now under 3 seconds, Robert will take with 7 laps to go. It's Hagan, Zier, Featherplace, Sharp, your next 3 in line for 2 through 5. Proudfoot now falling back another 1.5 seconds. As you can see him right there in the far shot, needing a caution or something to get back in this. Focus on this battle for a second, even though it doesn't have much impact. It's still worth noting. Zier way up the road, though. She's way low, and that's the unnecessary risks. She will lose a couple spots, or at least a spot to Featherplace, and now will slot back down to 4th. Sharp will stay ahead of Sharp, though. Back up to Roberts. 6 laps to go, but he will clip the wall a little bit, maybe giving some life to John Hagan here to try to close it up. Gap is 2.4 seconds and closing. At that rate, will it be enough? Obviously, last lap was maybe a little less indicative due to the little wall tap Roberts had. We'll get a better indicator this time by with 5 laps to go. You can see Hagan, Featherplace, and Zia are closing. This time by, check the stopwatches. 40.99 to John Hagan's 40.59. Speaking of, if they do catch, Featherplace is slowly putting pressure on Hagan here as well. If they do catch, will they fight for the lead here? Gap is about to be 2 seconds here. At the rate they're going, they would get there with the white flag in tow, but we'll have to see how it plays. Kind of have to play nice till you can get there. 4 laps to go. Bren Roberts will take the flag here with 4 to go. Gap 1.94 at the moment. Hagan not doing enough. That time by was only 2/10 gain by John Hagan. Yeah, it's not closing enough here. It's going to be 1.8, maybe 1.75. With 3 to go here. Here's the battle for second, third, and fourth. Sharp has fallen off a little bit, but she's still there in distance if something happens. 3 laps to go. Bren Roberts is still pulling and pulling quickly. Can he hang on to this? The 2-tire call. It's almost a bit interesting to note that is the same strategy Proudfoot tried. Proudfoot was just not good enough on his tires, but Roberts right now will be good enough to at least ensure a top 5 with the strategy, bearing it stays green. But you know right now the driver of the 84 for Presidential Racing, trying to go back-to-back wins for Presidential Racing, and more importantly, help Zia as well and get her into the Final 4. 3 laps to go, now down to 2. Battle for second. Featherplace wants to one-up Hagan here. They will probably not get there for the win, but this is the battle for second. Maybe momentum-based here going into Miami next week. Featherplace is clear. Gap now 1 second, but he gets a little squirrely. Roberts going way low. I thought he was running out of fuel for a second. 1 second in tow here. We're going to go wide shot here. Can Featherplace get there? Is there enough time to make up a second? So you see the battle rage on here further back. We're going to cut the Roberts. 1 lap to go here. Brought to you by Smeal Racing Designs. It's 7 tenths between Featherplace and Roberts. Can Featherplace get there? Will Roberts hang on? It's now 6 tenths and closing. It's going to be maybe a send in the final corner. How bad does Featherplace want this if he can get there? Gap is closing essentially half a second as they send off the 3 and 4. He's going to have to make up 4 tenths in 1 corner. But as they come off the last corner, it is not going to be enough, presumably, as they head down the log straight. Bren Roberts is going to steal one here. Photo finish possibly, but it's going to be Bren Roberts coming across the line, taking victory here. Featherplace about 2 tenths short from finding victory. 1 more lap and Featherplace would have done it, but Bren Roberts, with his 2-tire call, has found victory here tonight. All smiles for the 84, back-to-back wins, maybe sending a bit of a message here saying why you should take me. If he runs next year in A-squared, saying why you should take me with a high draft pick right here, as he's pretty much locked up the silver brackets as the only cars around him. Baxter, Brian Panoa's not here, Austin Mongold finishing outside the top 10, and Tommy, the other one, Ross Baxter as well finishing outside the top 10. That is the driver that has won the silver tournament, and he will celebrate all glory here. As Zia, teammate in crime for Presidential, we can pretty much confirm it knowing the math as we see Roberts coming in. Our Final 4, obviously unofficially, is going to be Hagan, Zia, at Hagan, Featherplace, Zia, and Sharp will be the Final 4 fighting for a championship next week in Miami. Obviously unofficial. I'll do the math real fast while we do the interviews. But pretty much can safe to assume it with Michelle and Gaiman. Obviously, we're not in the top 4 to begin with. And Proudfoot finishing 7th, but getting only 5 stage points will not be enough. And with Millet obviously heavily damaged, he falls out the top 4. So it's a very mundane celebration for the 84 there. But he has won it on 2 tires, and it has been a glorious finish for him. So we'll take a quick look at the final results here. And then we'll get on to some interviews here as well. So as we take a look here, just quickly, if we can get this graphic to load, obviously, SDK has been a little bit of a problem child for me throughout most of the night. We'll see if any of these decide to open up. There we go. So we'll take a look here real fast at the final results and then get on to some interviews here. So Bren Roberts' 2-tire strategy will work. He is now your silver playoff standings champion. Make sure I got the word right here, the wording. Silver play. Actually, silver play. He's a silver playoff winner here. He has won the Michigan Soul My Sign 200 and winning back-to-back weekends here in the round of 8. Brandon Featherplace will get 2nd. He will be fighting for a championship Miami, along with John Hagan finishing 3rd to round out the podium. Lila Auxier, great drive. She will inherently join that as well, with Peldia Sharp taking the last spot. So the final 4 heading to Homestead will occupy the 2 through 5 here. Adams, good drive. He will finish 6th. Brandon Proudfoot tried 2 tires along with Roberts, but his tire economy wasn't as good as that 84. He will finish 7th. Markowski 8th. Mark DeLayla 9th. And Kevin Feemster will round out the top 10. Then you got Tommy Withers, Tom Sears, Ross Baxter, James Wright, and Alfred George rounding out the top 15. Michael Lawrence, Stefan Oberstadt, Danny Michel just couldn't really find his form tonight. He'll finish 18th. Mongold 19th, and Josh Gaiman pulling it behind the wall after just going a lap down, just technical issues and whatnot. He's heartbreaking for him, but he will finish P20. And moving through the rest of the field, you got Battles 21st, Kerr 22nd. Zach Millett was looking poised to possibly make it and had that incident and just couldn't get the fast spare to go off. And he will go 56 laps down. He will be in 23rd. And Catania will not take the flag, but will be credited in P24. So we'll take a listen now, and we'll see if anyone is ready for some interviews here. We'll go from 3 to 1 here, assuming they're all fired on in here. So we'll take a check here in just a second. Let me scroll up. Yep, they're all 3 are in there. So we'll start with Hagan and work our way up in just 1 second here. Just got to make sure we unmute that so we can hear the thoughts. John, this is Kevin, the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Hello.
All right, obviously a very interesting race from you to start off, but we'll start at the beginning here. Obviously, you looked very strong for the first 2 stages. That thing looked planted. What was your secret around here at Michigan to get those 2 stage wins?
It was really stage 1 was because I had Adams and my mirror helping me out. Shout out Adams. Just once I got clean air, wrap that groove that I needed to wrap, make sure I wasn't slipping off corner, and everything would be fine. So stage 1 was pretty straightforward after the early cautions. Stage 2 was more of the same thing. Get it wrapped and planted, and then eventually people will have to move out of your dirty air and struggle. So that was what that plan was, and I was doing the IndyCar weave. Can I say that?
Yeah, we'll let it go.
Champ car,
whatever.
Champ car weave.
Yeah, American Open Wheel Series. Yeah, whatever terminology you want to use.
I was doing the weave back and forth just for fun. I was like, whatever. If it works, it works. If it screws me over, whatever. I was just bored.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was doing that for. And then, I able to keep the stage wins, put them in my pocket, just further inflate that cushion I had to the cut line so that it was pretty easy for me. Stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of the same in stage 3. It's just I got caught out by a strategy call.
Yeah, speaking of obviously going to that last stage, you were 23 above. You're pretty poised to make it. We'll talk about the Homestead in a minute, but we'll move further on. Obviously, with that strategy call, was there any thought in your mind to try 2? Because we know Proudfoot, he's poised to doing the 2-tire call here. Roberts obviously tried it as well. Was anything in your mind thinking 2 tires, or was it going to be 4 all the way?
I was seeing how the lefts are wearing after even like 15 and 20 lap stints, and I was like, there's no way that left rear holds enough grip on 2 for another full run. Mm-hmm. So I figured he'd fall off, and he really didn't. He kept the tires on it really well, and shout out to him. He played that perfect without saving tires, you can't pull that off. And
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't have any push behind to propel me forward, so we were a little bit disadvantaged there. And it looked like him and Proudfoot had worked together, staying in line just to maintain their gap originally. So it made it really hard once we both finally got one on one.
Yeah, and it definitely showed out. Speaking on, obviously, you got passed by Feather Place at the end, but we'll talk about the more important thing on the horizon here. Obviously, coming in tonight, you do your work, you got it done. You are now heading to the Final Four at homes to Miami. So first off, thoughts on making the Final Four, and secondly, Miami is a track. What are your thoughts about it? Do you think we're going to see you take a championship next week and get crowned for being an A Squared champion?
That's obviously the goal,
Mm-hmm.
to win a championship. So we're just going to go put our best foot forward, put some practice laps down, see what we can do, and hopefully we'll be there at the end when the time is right. Uh, just make sure I don't put myself in any bad situations.
Yeah, I want to ride it out and make it work out to the end. Obviously, we have got to that part of the show here. If there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Uh, Shout out my beautiful girlfriend for always supporting me while I do these. She's awesome. Shout out Beatron Racing and Jeremy giving me a shot this year, and hopefully I can bring him a championship next week. Uh, Shout out ABN for putting on the broadcast. You do an awesome job every week, Kevin. Shout out ARCS for throwing this league together and making it as good as it is. And uh, shout out OU Esports. Uh, Glad to announce I just joined them. Some people are going to be, he talks about it too much, whatever. I'm happy I did it. So shout out them, and yeah, we'll go get them at Homestead.
Well, it's great talking to you, John Hagan. We wish you well on your quest to get a championship. And I've got a feeling we'll be talking next week, but will it be calling you a champion or maybe a runner up, third place for us? We'll have to see. But wish you well, and you have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
And that was John Hagan, our third place finisher. And we'll move on quite nicely to our second place finisher, Brandon Featherplace. We'll hear his thoughts now. Brandon, this is Kevin the ABN booth. You got a copy?
I do. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. Obviously, maybe a bit of a weight off your shoulders coming in after the finishing up, but we got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about, again, the first two stages as well. Going into it, you were in a spot where you were pretty much in a, basically, not say a dead heat, but you're pretty much, actually, you were tied with Zier. So what was your mindset in those first two stages? Obviously, getting stage points was crucial, but what were you trying to do to maximize to get the best opportunity out of your car?
Um, Pretty much the entire plan that I had got thrown out of the window with that terrible qualifying that I had, and then the first two cautions. The added pressure to this race, and then everyone wrecking beside you and behind you. That was very nerve wracking. So I pretty much just decided right then and there I just need to get away from the middle of the pack and stay as clean as I can and stay in the draft. I knew that's always, what you have to do here is stay in the draft with these cars. And luckily it worked out.
Mm-hmm. I gotta ask. Speaking of, obviously, I was doing quick math here in the booth. Was anyone relaying this information to you? Because at the end of stage two, you were in a dead tie with Pelletier Sharp there. So at the end of stage two, were you thinking math? Were you just, I'm gonna get the best finish I can? What was? I'm kind of curious. After like going to the final stage, what was the mindset? Do you know the situation you were in, or you were just like, I don't care. I'm gonna try to get the best I can.
To be honest with you, I mean, we had a lot of stuff being said in the chat that was, in our team chat that was saying, oh, this person fell out, this person,
Mm-hmm.
this person's probably behind you, whatnot. But I was just focused on getting the best finish that I could because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me um, if I'm a point behind or a point ahead. I just need to get the best finish that I can
Mm-hmm.
and see what happens. And I knew Lily and I and um,
Lilac.
Lilac, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Lilac, we were all really close,
Mm-hmm.
and I finished ahead of her first stage, and she finished ahead of me second stage, or vice versa. And I just knew I had to beat Lilac um, because that was who I tied with, I believe, going into this race.
Yes.
So we were had a heck of a battle this whole race, and a lot of respect to her for all the drive and all the hard driving that we had, and that was something else.
Speaking of, I got to ask as well. When we saw green flag pit stops open up, you were, I believe, one of the last few to come in the major implicators. So I do got to ask: was there any element of strategy we saw Roberts and Proudfoot take 2 tires? Were you thinking 2 tires, or was 4 tires always the way you were going to go?
Um, I was only going to consider two if I stayed out with about 15 to go. That was kind of my magical number that, I thought, you know what, from this point, I'll try out two. But once everyone started coming to pit road, that kind of drew me into because as soon as Hagen went down, everyone else started calling in and they were going down. You know, I can't afford to lose that amount of time. So I just went ahead and took four. There was like 21 or 22 laps left. I said, the heck with it. Um, and we'll just see what happens. I mean, I just thought that was too far for 2 tires, but evidently Brent proved me wrong.
Yeah, he was saving those tires beautiful. Saw Proudfoot fall off there in the end, but yeah, he was able to make that work and came oh so close. You need one more lap. Speaking of, next week, obviously, it is Homes in Miami, and you have blocked yourself in with your performance here tonight. So first of all, congratulations. But now we got to get to the hard part here. Obviously, you want to win that race. You want to win the championship. But I guess a two-part question here. A, how does this differ maybe from last year in Phoenix when you went in the Final Fours? You're the only driver to have experience in back-to-back Final Fours. And secondly, how do you feel about Homestead itself? Do you think it's a track we can see you hoist that championship at?
You know, I I really liked Phoenix. So last year I was super excited to go into Phoenix in the Final Four because I really like Phoenix. And I always run well there. So this year being Homestead, I appreciate, thanks for congratulating me for the top four, man. I don't even know. I mean, I guess
I mean,
I
basically
guess I got enough
doing the
points, but
math here. I mean, if my math's correct, obviously it's unofficial, but considering the fact that Proudfoot was going into the final stage was 13 back, Millet obviously had his incident early on. He got no stage 2 points or even finished 24th, and Gaiman retired, and Michelle was even further back. So by proxy, you get the spot there just by process elimination. So overall, though, yeah, but yeah, so that's good at the very least.
oh,
Obviously,
okay.
you felt good there. But again, unofficial,
Yeah.
but doing basic math, it adds up to that.
Nice. Okay. Well, Homestead, um, I'm excited for Homestead. It's one of those tracks that you really have to drive the track instead of your competitors. So, I'm going to put the time in, put some practice in, get ready for this race. I need some redemption because, last year I came up short and this year I don't want to do that again. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do everything that I can and try to keep the race car clean. And hopefully we have a heck of a battle between us four.
Mm-hmm. It will be a great race to watch. I know you will bring it all to the line. Speaking of, we're at the part of the show. If there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Uh, I just want to thank Tom Sears and all the rest of my um, teammates at Line Power. We put a lot of work into this week in and week out. A lot of data being shared. So without them, it would be really hard for me to finish where I have been and how we do in the team championship. Um, Thanks to ABN for the broadcast. As always, it's always great going back Monday morning and watching this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just thanks to ARCS, thanks to League, thanks to everyone that watches. Even if you don't even know my name or you don't even root for me, at least you're watching, and we all enjoy it. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all at Homestead.
All right. Obviously, you have a good rest of your week. Mentally prepare for Homestead. Hopefully, it'll be talked to you as a champion. But if not, you take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
And that was our second place finisher, Brandon Featherplace. And we only have one more driver left. Back-to-back wins. We'll talk to Bren Roberts now. Bren, this is Kevin the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I got you.
Well, obviously, you had a very eventful race there, but we'll start at the beginning. Obviously, in the first two stages, you were a constant threat in the top 10. You were really making moves. So what was making that car look so grippy in those first two stages?
I don't know. I had well, number one, my first concern was trying to help Lilac out as much as I could. She's been a great teammate to me all year and help me out as much as she could, even at times where, I was struggling. So I was trying to help her out, racing everybody hard but clean for the most part. I know I put Mongold in the fence, and I want to apologize to Mongold. That was a mistake, but I think he recovered, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, it was good hard racing. I was having fun. There's no pressure anymore. I'm just racing. I locked up silver bracket, so it is what it is, and yeah, having a lot of fun.
Yeah, obviously you've shown it on the track here, all not for play for, and you're playing out. But we got to get to the elephant in the room here. Second stage, you rolled the dice, you took 2 tires, and everyone has been talking about how no one was thinking that was going to work, yet you somehow stretched it out for 25 laps. So I got to ask, what was the mindset of going for 2 tires? Obviously, I think it probably something to do with the fact that obviously you're just here for fun, you want the win or nothing. But was there even were you really safe that those 25 laps on those 2 tires is going to work?
So number one, I didn't think I was gonna win the race taking 2. I didn't I wasn't I didn't make that call saying, oh, I'm gonna go win the race.
Oh.
I was just doing it because throughout stage 1 and throughout stage 2, I wasn't shifting. I was staying in 5th the whole time, and I was consistently getting tight, way too tight, burning up the right front. Stage 3, I took a different approach and I started downshifting into 4th, but I was still getting way too tight, losing spots. So I was like, I feel like I'll drive better if I just put on 2. Well, of course, with that, you're going to come out a little bit ahead. And it made my car drive better. I was driving a little slower, but I was driving better, and I felt more comfortable. And that helped a lot. My big gamble, and I don't know if anybody picked up on this, but I actually took less gas than I needed to finish the race. So I was saving while trying to manage these tires and while people are catching me. And I crossed the line with 0.1 laps of gas left, so that was pretty sketchy. So 2 weeks in a row, fuel mileage, that wasn't great.
Did bring it up with 2 laps to go there. You seemed like you were slowing up on the straights to really try to hit that magical number, but it definitely was. You were definitely coughing up a lot of time, but it worked out in the end there. But overall, yeah, it was a great drive to watch, just trying to make those 2 tires work. And honestly, probably saving the fuel was your saving grace because that allowed you to go a little slower, save the tires, and in turn get to the end. Speaking of, obviously, you kind of told us what the viewers what we already kind of confirmed. You've locked up the silver bracket. Congratulations to you. Even though it's a consolation prize, it probably still feels good to at least win something this campaign. But I guess a 2-part question as well. A, Homestead next week. Do you see a chance going 3 for 3 to kind of be the ultimate spoiler in the playoffs? And secondly, is there any mindset going to next season? Are you going to try to be like, hey, this is why you should draft me for next season? Are you going to try to help Lilacs here? So what's your mindset going into Homestead and maybe the future going to next season?
So I think first part of that, next week at Homestead, I don't know. I don't expect to win that race, but I would have said that I was going to run last at this race.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly I don't know anything. But yeah, I mean, I'll go out and try to win the race. Number 1 goal is going to try to be to help Lilac. Now that we're in the Final 4, I'm going to not really mess with those Final 4 competitors. I'm still going to race them, but I'm not going to be side drafting them, racing them super hard. I'm just going to let them battle it out. But wherever I can help Lilac, I'm definitely going to do that. In terms of next season, I think for the people who have been here for a good amount of time, they know what I've been capable of. Obviously, I haven't shown that this season. And I apologize to Ryan because he drafted me high and it just hasn't worked out. And I'm glad I can finally show a little bit and prove to myself that I still got it. I'm not washed. So that's good.
Hey, overall, it's showing definitely the strength here. You'll definitely be someone to keep an eye on for next season, especially when you have this clutch scene like this to turn up when the playoffs turn on. So anyway, we're at the portion. If there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours. Take it away.
I want to thank you for a great broadcast all season. I want to especially thank my team, Ryan, for drafting me. It's finally paying off. It's finally paying off. It took 6 months to do it, but it's finally paying off. Lilac, she has run a great season. So happy she's in the championship for it because she deserves it. And then Boss has been a great teammate to us all year. Sometimes he doesn't run as good as he is, but if he ran as good as he is a teammate, he would win every single week. So that's as high as I think of those 3.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's always good to have great praise for those as well, and thank you for the compliment as well. But obviously, Brent, it's been great talking to you. Enjoy the rest of the week here, and obviously, we'll see you next week at Homestead. Maybe not going to talk to you. I feel like the playoff drivers will try to lock up those podium spots, but hey, you proved last week that you were doubting that, and you came here, so maybe we'll see you after all. So you take care, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
And that was our main finisher, Bren Roberts, and that will finish up the interviews here tonight. So obviously, it was a very eventful evening here. Obviously, unofficially, my math slates it as Hagen, Zier, Feather Place, and Sharpen. No particular order on that one. Is basically, again, to kind of explain the methodology again. Millet, obviously, getting 24th. No stage 1, stage 2. Gaiman, Michelle were below all four, along with Proudfoot. So by default, kind of settles out to that point. Obviously, things can change with penalty points and all that. Keep an eye on the socials, ABN Studios on Twitter, and also Race ARCS as well to keep an eye on all the updates to find out the official Final Four when it is released. But regardless, it has been a very great 24 race calendar so far this season. It has been fun to watch in and out, drivers battling, racing, going hard to try to make something happen. And now we are down to the last round next week at Miami. I do hope everyone here can tune in and join me at Miami. And at the end of Miami, at the end of the race, one driver will be crowned champion of the A-Squared World. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll find that out next week, September. Make sure I got the date right here. I believe it is September 1st, but I'm going to make sure that is correct. September 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern here on ABN Studios YouTube channel. And make sure you also, if you are new and still around, tune in, check the back catalog. All the races leading up to this magical event next week are all on the catalog. So until then, thank you for tuning in. My name is Kevin Young, and I'm glad you all joined us. Thank you, and have a good rest of your evening.